And so here we are in the Lost Valley. This is the part where things are going to get rather interesting, to say the least. But first off, there are some wolves down here, which you can very, very nicely bait to run to the ledge. And then as long as you kind of are up, they can't hurt you, which is so helpful. I really love it when you can do that. It's a bit of a cheap way of beating them up, but still. Then over here we have a cog. We're not really going to have much proper use for this just yet. Although you can put it in its correct place right now if you so wanted to. It goes just up that ladder there. But basically, we're wanting to kind of climb up along the side of the waterfall here. Because that's where we need to go. Now, this is the level in Tomb Raider where if you thought that things were going to be incredibly realistic, you're probably going to develop a slight sense of disappointment. Because Tomb Raider is, although it has relatively realistic elements, realistic physics for the most part, and a slight realistic style that it's kind of developed towards, pretty much all of the Tomb Raider games up until the reboot were incredibly magical and mythical, and lots of supernatural stuff goes on, which, even though there is still an element of it in the reboot, it's nowhere near as pronounced. It's just kind of something that is just off in the distance until you get to the end of the game, which is slightly depressing, and I was certainly expecting more from Tomb Raider. But these things happen when you try and make things realistic. You can't generally do stuff that's too supernatural, because then you lose the sense of realism. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm always so hesitant to do things. Basically, I always like to make sure that I know where I'm kind of meant to be going, and if I don't know where I'm meant to be going, then I pause, and I'm just like, right, so that's over there, that's over there, that's over there, and then eventually I will make my move, but it does sometimes take me a little while. And I have to say, Lara's very, very patient. Even when she's hanging off ledges, she just kind of hangs there, nice and calmly. Doesn't kind of kick up a fuss or anything. Doesn't drop after a while, which is so useful because, I mean, sometimes you could just be hanging off a ledge for ages if you were a little bit confused as to what the heck was going on. Now, I believe the reason why I'm here is because there is an artifact about, but it's well, if it is about, then I'm a complete not a nut job. Oh no, it is about, yes, because basically it's a very sneaky little thing, because you would suspect that that ledge would just be a complete and utter drop off you. If you got off it, you'd die. But that isn't the case. The ladder is there from the bridge, and we are going to make use of that. I wasn't. I think what I was confused about was, well, it's just like, do I go grab the second cog first, or do I go and do this other bit first. Getting the cog is a good idea. Now that level right there is what's going to eventually allow us to get the relic, I believe. So do make sure that you open that lever, open that gate, because you're going to need it if you want to get everything in the game. And I am serious in that, because the relics are very important for completion. And now we've got to make sure that we don't accidentally kill ourselves by dropping off the lead and not dropping properly. It's a very awkward thing, and Lara dear, your hands are kind of clipping through the bridge. You might want to get that checked out. Now that is surprisingly a relatively okay jump to make, but it looks slightly horrible. And because Lara doesn't swing enough, I think, it's just like, oh gosh, this is going to go badly. And here we have our first alternate weapon, the shotgun. Now, as you probably guessed from seeing shotguns in other video games and in real life, it's more powerful than your pistols, but it's very slow. Also, that is an epic cannonball, Lara. Very well done. 10 out of 10. And through here there is another little goodie, and this isn't the gate that we opened earlier, even though you may think it is. And in here there's just a small health pack, so you don't have to come down into here, but I would say that you probably are going to want to, because you're going to be facing a boss relatively soon, and let's just say that you are going to probably struggle a little bit if you aren't used to the controls and pulling off certain moves. The other thing with the shotgun is that it's not got as good a range as the pistols, and if I'm perfectly honest, just use the pistols. Of all the weapons in the game, the one that you're probably going to use the most is the pistols, and they work perfectly fine. There's really kind of no reason to not just use the pistols. I mean, it's slightly helpful when you get later on and the enemies start getting harder, because some of the weapons are faster and more powerful than your regular pistols, but the regular pistols do the job relatively okay and nicely, so that's good. So there's our first cog in place. And now that that's all plugged in, things are going to start to move, and you can already see where the second cog goes in. And you may be thinking right now, oh great, there are only 2 cogs. No, you need 3 cogs to progress. And we are going to head to where the third cog is now, I believe. Or at least get somewhere close to it. It's very impressive how those tiny little cogs are well, all that was missing from these huge contraptions. It's like, seriously, how could you have just gone and lost these things? It's like, if they were in the wall face, unless you were trying to stop somebody from getting through, which I assume is what was going on here, why would you remove them? Surely, if you wanted to stop someone from getting anywhere, you'd destroy the wooden constructs, not take out 3 of the cogs. Seems a bit of a waste of time, if you ask me. But then again, these are tombs. They're mythical and legendary. They're not really supposed to make complete and utter sense. Also, there's a really cheeky little health pack hidden in here. If you want to grab it, annoyingly it does mean that you've got to go and climb all the way back up again. But I will point out that you are probably going to want to get as many large health packs as possible, just in case you get into trouble later in the game, because some of the enemies can cause a lot of damage and will cause that damage really quickly, so you do need to watch out. Now, you may think that, oh, I can make it from kind of, if it's just swinging backwards. No, you can't make the ladder. I've tried. Always aim for as high up as possible on that ladder, because otherwise you will probably miss it and you will fall. And although you may not necessarily die, although you are very likely to die, you're going to get screwed over. So, be so careful. And now we have those ropes that I love so much. And we are getting very, very close to the bit of Tomb Raider that I've been kind of picking up at this point. It's just because it's pretty much reasonably rather ridiculous. I can't quite believe that it exists in a Tomb Raider game. But it's there, and it's really cool when we do get to it. Which I do promise is soon. It's this part. You are going to see what happens at the start of the original Tomb Raider. And it's not something that you would expect at all. Now, oh look, there's a bear. And that is how you properly pull off a adrenaline dodge. At this point I was like, so that's how you do it. And then it's just like, oh, I can do this all the time now, apart from when you screw up the dodge. But there's a really kind of nasty artifact, I believe, in this room. Essentially what you need to do is climb up to the top here. They give you 50 caliber pistol ammo that you can't use yet. And you're not going to be able to use this until you get to the next chapter. Well, the next kind of level area. But to get the artifact, you need to jump there very specifically to be able to get to that ledge, to be able to jump over here to get the artifact. But doing that that sliding thing, and getting the positioning just right, is a pain in the bum. Because it can sometimes be slightly hard to get Lara lined up properly. I don't know why, but sometimes she just doesn't want to stay in position properly, really. It's a bit depressing, really. And now, although you may think, oh, I'll go over the ledge there, you can't get up the ramp, because it's a slidey ramp. Or at least there's a slidey ramp somewhere around that area, so you aren't going to be able to get up and over. And one thing I should point out is that once you have full ammo for a weapon, you can no longer pick up any other of the ammo pickups. So, yeah, I didn't realise this when I was playing, well, at this point in time anyway. So it's just kind of like, oh, I can't pick up more ammo? Because you are limited for everything but the pistols. And over here is the wonderful small medipack that was so elusive a few minutes ago. Just hiding there, waiting for us to try and pick it up through the grate, and we can't. It's just being evil. Now, as I was saying with the ammo pickups, don't worry if you can't pick them up now. We are actually returning this way later on, and they will still be there if you haven't picked them up. So that will be your chance. Also, it's rather amusing that even though it seems ever so slightly like lazy game design, kind of backtracking through an area, when you have kind of platforming puzzles like this, which are based on the environment itself, reversing your traversal method can be a little bit awkward. So that's where your challenge comes in. It's kind of like figuring out, so that's how I got across the first time, well, how do I get back across? And it's sometimes easier said than done. And also, blooming bats! They're just everywhere. It's like, seriously, dude, stop, please. And then, that down there is a pit of death. If you fall into it, you are going to die. So be very, very, very careful when coming for this artifact. Basically, just kind of head to the middle-ish area of it, and when you pull back, you'll be able to see this ledge and get through to... Oh, it's just another... Oh my god, it's just the medipacks. So I'm not quite sure what that thing in the wall was. I'm not sure whether that was a bat that got stuck or what, but that looked rather weird. And finally, here we go. If you were watching reasonably carefully in the opening, this should look somewhat familiar to you, and you should realise what's about to happen. We're in this lovely open area, and... oh look, there are velociraptors. And they're here to kill us. Now, velociraptors are a lot faster than other enemies that you will have faced. And they are quite powerful. And there's 3 of them fighting you at once, so be very, very, very careful. In the original game, they only attacked in 2s. But they're in 3s now. And you can pick up all of the items on the ground if you would like. You may want to do that now rather than in a minute. Because there are some more wonderful velociraptors coming to kill you. And once we've beaten them, something bigger is going to turn up. And here it comes. Along with the quick time event, if I recall correctly. So yeah, we have to fight a T-Rex. A T-Rex. What? It's insane! So this is incredibly lethal adversary. He takes quite a lot of hits and is very powerful. Basically what you're going to want to do is enrage him by shooting at him, and then do the adrenaline dodge when he does his rage mode move, and that is how you are going to eventually kill him. But the best way of doing this is to make it so that he rams into those spiked logs on the sides. Also, do not be an idiot and try and pick up a health pack when you're fighting this thing. That's a stupid thing to do. So in the original Tomb Raider game, and in Tomb Raider 2 and Tomb Raider 3, in which it also appeared, it can only be, well, it can be defeated by simply shooting at it. And your best tactic is going in, say, a doorway from which you can just safely shoot at it because it's too big and clumsy to get through. Whereas here, you've got to fight in your big open area, because that's how you're going to kill it quicker. And with that, T-Rex is down, but not before we have another quick time event. Bring it, Mr. T-Rex. Take a temple to the face. See you later.